I never imagined I'd have to go through something like this. It's not that I've never heard of situations like this before, but they always seemed so distant, like they didn't really matter to me. It was like watching a tiger or a lion behind the bars of a zoo. You know it's dangerous, but it feels so far removed from your own reality. Life brings surprises when you least expect it. My new wife and I have been together for more than 20 years. Of course, when we first met, she was not yet the new experienced and respected teacher she is today. We met at a dance, and as it sometimes happens, I immediately fell in love with this blue-eyed, slender girl with light tan, as if she had just returned from a cruise. She had admirers. In fact, I think half of the male students on campus had a crush on her, but for some reason, she chose me. When I asked her to marry me, she said yes with a smile, then kissed me passionately, leaving me completely dazed. Like most marriages, ours has had its calm, happy moments, but also its fair share of storms, misunderstandings, and frustrations. But we made it through just like everyone else. A year after our wedding, we had our son, Lincoln. He's now in his early 20s, thinking about starting his own family soon. It may seem strange, but we have different professions. Nova works as a teacher in one of the best schools in the city, and I am a metallurgist, a steel worker, and a shop foreman at the factory. But somehow our differences have never prevented us from living in harmony. I remember how we used to celebrate all the special dates. Our anniversary, the day we met, even Valentine's Day, exchanging romantic cards and small gifts. You know, sometimes even in calm waters, there are hidden depths. And those depths in my case are in the bright, clear blue of my wife's eyes. Nova is considered one of the best in her field. She's not just a teacher, but also tutors students at home. I'm not always around, thanks to my shift at work. And with a new Mitsubishi on credit, every extra penny helps. I'd never owned a car before, so you can imagine how much I adore it, spending hours polishing it, making sure it always looks spotless. As they say, a child's interests are always a reflection of the family. Nova usually taught older high school students who were preparing to enter universities. She never quite got along with younger kids and preferred the company of older teens. She built up quite a reputation in the city with 90% of her students passing their entrance exams successfully. After 20 years together, I've gotten used to all sorts of school kids. The fashionable girls, the boys with wild hairstyles, and of course, the rebellious types. They're everywhere in any school, right? So, imagine my surprise when one day I answered the doorbell and found a tall guy in his 30s, standing there looking like someone who knows exactly what he wants from life. "Hello, is Nova at home?" "May I come in?" he asked. "Sure. What's this about?" I replied, "I'm here for lessons," he said. I must have looked completely confused because he added, "I think you're wondering why some of my age needed lessons." I tried to hide my surprise, but couldn't. Well, isn't it a little late to be learning languages? Or, as we say at work, it's too late to drink porridge. I joked, "It's not really for you to decide, Anthony." My wife whispered from behind me and added, "Come on in, Thomas. Don't be shy." I was a bit stunned, but I let the guy in, closing the door behind him. Nova seemed genuinely pleased with the visit. She had clearly dressed to impress, wearing a tight skirt that accentuated her curves and one of her most stunning blouses with a deep neckline that had a way of drawing attention. I couldn't help but notice the eager male eyes following her every move. That's why I told her not to wear it. But she was at home now, so I kept my feelings to myself, swallowed the resentment, and retired to my room through the slightly ajar door separating us. I noticed that I was watching the guest out of the corner of my eye. And I'm not going to lie, there was something about him that really pissed me off. But I forced myself to put aside, turn on the Champions League match so as not to think about it, and tightly close the door between myself and those German phrases and verbs they were talking about. Over time, I got used to it. He came by regularly, always respectful, never crossing any boundaries. Every now and then, he'd bring flowers or a small cake. I told myself I wasn't bothered by it, that it was no big deal. There were enough problems at work to keep my mind occupied. So, I didn't let it get to me. That is, Until one day at the factory in the smoke-filled break room where crude jokes and ribbing with Norm, I overheard a conversation that hit me harder than expected. I heard that his car was doused with acid in the parking lot. Now, the repairs will cost him 20 grand. Someone scratched an obscene word on his hood with a nail. Said one of the guys from the workshop. My stomach tightened. I imagined how much it would cost to fix my new car. Finding the right paint. Finding someone to do it properly wouldn't be easy. And my neighbor just bought a camera. He hung it on his porch. So now these bastards can't get away with anything. A welder from my precinct intervened. After hearing that, I spent the whole day mulling it over. That evening, I stopped by my friend Jackson's place. He's into office equipment and gadgets, so I figured he might know something. He raised an eyebrow at my request. But once he realized what I was getting at, he burst out laughing. Oh, this is rich. And here, I thought you were trying to catch Nova at something. He chuckled, slapping his knees. All right, I'll get you a camera. You know how to install it yourself. Of course, I replied. Well, in that case, Jackson said, calming down. This is the best model for the money. The detail on this thing is unreal. The resolution is perfect, and the best part, it's tiny. You can hide it anywhere. He handed me a small box from the bottom drawer of his desk. But there's one thing. When you set it up the first time, make sure you record something at home so it can sync with the system and update its settings. Got it? I said, paying for camera and heading home. Still unsure how exactly this little gadget would fit into my life. My son was cool about it and helped me install the camera one weekend. Without much thought, we decided to hang it in the hallway. Let it be for now. My son said, we'll move it to the entrance soon so you can keep an eye on your precious car. That was it. The camera wasn't visible in the hallway. Life went on as usual. Then one day, the higher-ups came for an inspection at the plant. I completely forgot about the camera until the paperwork piled up and the whole removal from my post-scare blew over. It wasn't until Saturday evening when my son and daughter-in-law came over that we decided to finally check the footage. Let's see what we've got, my son said as curiosity piqued. Sure, why not? I replied. But as I casually glanced at his wife's face, I couldn't help but notice a subtle hint of anxiety she was trying to hide. It had happened before once when she accidentally threw my pants along with my passport in the back pocket into the washing machine. Since then, I've kept the important document in a much safer place. So, this time I was a bit puzzled. With a few simple moves, I managed to display the footage from a camera on the TV in the hallway. My pride and joy, the centerpiece of my apartment. As expected, the video showed nothing particularly interesting. I decided to fast forward through it, hoping to get to the good stuff. The images flicker across the screen, like a strange kaleidoscope of everyday life. But then, amidst the usual scenes, something flashed by that made my stomach tighten and my blood run cold. I saw my wife walking in through the door. Then Thomas, that scruffy student, entering right after her. An hour later, I watched him completely naked, walking into the bathroom with nothing but his bare feet slapping the floor. My heart sank. My wife rushed out of the room and locked herself in the bathroom. My son and daughter-in-law didn't say a word. They just silently gathered their things, called a cab, and left. I was so overwhelmed with rage and disbelief that I shouted at the bathroom door, demanding to know what the hell was going on. Through the door, I heard my wife's sobs. She was too ashamed to face me. We've been lovers almost since the first lesson, she confessed, her voice cracking with emotion. I'm sorry, Lincoln, she whispered. God will forgive you, I muttered bitterly, seething with anger. She sobbed harder. This has never happened to me before. You know, we've been together for so many years. We've been through so much. But I swear it was like the devil himself stepped in. He was young and handsome. And I just couldn't help myself. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't live without him. It's like an obsession, Lincoln. I didn't believe her. Not for a second. And this is how you repay me? You set me up perfectly, didn't you? Now I have to walk around with horns on my head after everything I've done for you. I couldn't finish the sentence. Lincoln, please, she pleaded, her voice desperate, almost feverish. Let's start over. Like nothing happened. Give me another chance. Her words twisted something deep inside me. There was pain, and then there was the smallest flicker of something like longing. But I shook my head, feeling both devastated and betrayed. No, Nova, you need to go to him. Cool down, think it through, and then file for divorce. It's over. I left the house, the words hanging in the air, knowing that nothing would ever be the same.